Imagine your life's potential as a single long thread. For some, this thread is a tangled, chaotic knot. Every pull seems to tighten it, making progress feel impossible, leaving you frustrated and stuck. For others, that same thread is a perfect, elegant spiral, unspooling with purpose and grace. The distance between the knot and the spiral isn't luck. It's not a gift of more talent. And it's certainly not about having more time. It's about mastering a forgotten skill, a mindset that can untangle any knot, no matter how tight. Today, we're not just talking about untangling that thread. We're talking about learning the art of the pull itself. We live in a world obsessed with dreams, but paralyzed by the act of doing. We tell ourselves we'll start when we're ready, when we have more knowledge, more money, more time. We feel the fire of a passion, a deep belief that we were meant for bigger things. But that fire gets lost, the drive fades, the hunger subsides. We feel like time is running out. This is the core problem that haunts so many of us, the vast, intimidating chasm between our aspirations and our actions. We hear the old saying, "Jack of all trades, master of none," and we let it shame us into thinking that our multiple interests are a sign of a lack of focus, rather than a sign of a rich and curious soul. We create a representative, a watered-down, safer version of ourselves to show the world, and we let that representative make our decisions, slowly killing our most authentic life. This is the exact struggle that today's book, The Art of Doing, a Guide to Getting Motivated, Getting Unstuck and Getting It Done, confronts head-on. And its author, Jesse Lipscombe, is not some theorist in an ivory tower. He is the living embodiment of the book's promise. He is a man who has dared to do too much, a popular speaker, an award-winning actor who has shared the screen with legends like Sidney Poitier and Kevin Hart, a former professional athlete who once ranked in the top 10 in the world, an activist who kick-started a nationwide anti-discrimination movement, and a serial entrepreneur who founded over 15 companies, starting at age 16. This book is his story, his philosophy, and his playbook. It's not just a collection of tips, it's a lifestyle. The grand promise of The Art of Doing is that you can achieve the dreams and goals that you feel have passed you by. Jess's method is simple, but he warns us it's not easy. By embracing what he calls the 3 Ps: passion, pursuit, and productivity, he promises to help you tear down your creative barricades, find yourself unblocked, and finally master the art of self-motivation. He gives you permission to try, to discover, to experiment, and to find the joy in the process of doing. So, if you're ready to turn the page and pursue the future you want to live in, then settle in, because this journey begins now. The entire philosophy of The Art of Doing is built on 3 pillars: passion, pursuit, and productivity. Let's begin with the foundation, the fuel for everything that follows passion. And within that, the very first concept is a simple 3-word mantra that will change the way you approach every single project for the rest of your life: action, movement, momentum. We often convince ourselves that our dreams can wait. We tell ourselves we need a complete plan, a full set of skills, and a guarantee of success before we can begin. We get so good at putting our own dreams aside that we start convincing the people around us to do the same with theirs. But Jesse argues, quoting Martha Beck, "How you do anything is how you do everything." The habit of inaction infects all areas of your life. The antidote, then, is to simply act. Action is the critical first step, but it must be done with intention. An action, however small, creates movement. That movement, repeated over time, builds momentum. And once you have momentum, Jesse says, you've already solved most of the equation. You simply need to hang on and ride it the rest of the way. He tells a fantastic story from his college days that perfectly illustrates this. While a student athlete at the legendary Morehouse College in Atlanta, he decided he wanted to write a musical and perform it on stage at the Martin Luther King Jr. International Chapel. The problem: he had zero experience. Had never written a play, never composed music, and knew nothing about choreography or costume design. By any logical measure, this was an impossible task. But he was, as he says, undaunted by my lack of experience. He never slowed down enough to realize what he was doing was highly improbable. He just acted. He wrote the script, loosely based on West Side Story. He didn't know how to compose music, so he found someone who could play piano, and together they composed the soundtrack. He held auditions, sitting in the director's chair, feeling the special joy of hearing others bring his art to life. He didn't know how to choreograph, so he partnered with a friend and translated his vision into technical directions. He and his girlfriend used elementary sewing skills and consignment store finds to create the costumes. In the end, he got permission to use the chapel at the 11th hour, and the show went on. He admits, "I don't even remember if the show was any good. And now that doesn't even matter. The only thing that really matters is that I took action and started the journey." Think about that in your own life. How many brilliant ideas are sitting in a notebook because you don't have all the skills yet? How many times have you told yourself, "I'll start when I know more"? Jesse channels the wisdom of Quentin Tarantino, who once said a director doesn't need to know how to do anything except actualize their vision and articulate it to the right people. We let our lack of experience dictate the feasibility of our dreams. We submit to where we are rather than dream of where we could be. The art of doing urges you to focus on what you do know, your vision. A little bit of action creates a little bit of movement, which will kickstart the momentum you need to overcome every challenge that will arise. You don't need to know everything to begin, but you do have to start. Once you've started, what fuels the journey? This brings us to the second, and perhaps most profound, idea in the book, Run Toward Love, Not From Fear. This isn't just a motivational platitude, it's a fundamental shift in your entire operating system. Jesse asks us to examine the why behind our actions. Are we striving for success because we are afraid to fail? Are we chasing goals to avoid judgment, to meet an obligation, or to escape a feeling of mediocrity? That, he says, is running from fear. Or are we pursuing something because we are genuinely, deeply in love with the process, with the joy and the craft of it? That is running toward love. Jesse's own athletic career is a powerful testament to this dichotomy. For years, his success was driven by fear. He had a lineage of high achievers in his family, including a CFL Hall of Fame grandfather, and he felt an immense, self-imposed pressure to crush everything he did. He was winning, but he felt no fulfillment. He says, "I was running so fast from fear that I was winning without feeling any of the rewards. I met all of the accolades not with joy, but with a sense of obligation." He burned out and thought he was done with track and field forever. The turning point came from the most unexpected place, an audition for Canadian Idol. As part of the show's promo package, the producers asked him to do a few high jumps for the camera. He resisted at first, wanting to leave that part of his past behind. But when he finally agreed, something shifted. He says, "I didn't feel the same pressure I had in the past. I felt freer. I wasn't jumping out of obligation. I was doing it for fun." He was simply showing off, doing something he loved. In that moment, he rediscovered the joy he felt as a 9-year-old when sport was just an extension of playtime. That rediscovery, that shift from fear to love, was the catalyst for his comeback. He returned to the sport not with a sense of duty, but with a pure love for solving the problems and achieving better results. This new fuel propelled him to his greatest success, ranking 6th globally and putting him on track for the 2008 Olympics. This framework changes everything. When a transient ischemic attack, or TIA, suddenly ended his career, it wasn't a devastating tragedy. Because he was running toward love, he wasn't defined by that one identity. He could simply pivot and start running toward his next love, being an artist. The book forces you to ask, what is my motivation? Are you running from the fear of disappointing your family, your boss, yourself? Or are you running toward the pure joy of the activity? Because fear is a fuel that burns hot and fast, but always leads to burnout. Love is the sustainable energy source that can power you through an entire lifetime of pursuits. Running toward love requires courage, and that courage is built through our third major idea, say yes. This chapter is a masterclass in embracing uncertainty. Jesse lives by the actor's aphorism, "Fake it till you make it." When asked if you can do something outside your comfort zone, ride a horse, play volleyball, drive a snowmobile, the answer is always yes, provided you believe you can learn it in time. But it's deeper than just faking a skill. Saying yes is about opening a door to a timeline you couldn't have planned for. Jesse has countless stories here, but one of the most powerful is his journey to slaying the lion. For years, he was haunted by a traumatic audition for the musical The Lion King. He showed up underprepared, couldn't sing the song in its original key, and was publicly humiliated by the adjudicators who told him he should never sing again. Their words crushed him, and he stopped singing for over 7 years. That experience became a monster, a lion that roared every time he even thought about singing. Years later, he was asked to sing the national anthem at a major CFL football game on the 10th anniversary of 9/11 in the stadium where his grandfather's Hall of Fame picture hung. Everything in him was terrified. This was the ultimate stage for his lion to devour him, but he said yes. He was so terrified that he trained by going to a local karaoke bar by himself, singing his song, and then running to his car to cry from embarrassment. He even hired a coach to help him manage the emotional stress. When the moment came, standing on the 50-yard line in front of 60,000 people, his worst nightmare came true. His mind went blank. He couldn't remember the lyrics, but he took a deep breath, opened his mouth, and somehow the words came. He says, saying yes to that opportunity was one of the most nerve-wracking things I had ever done. But saying yes opened up a brand new world for me, a world previously seen only in my daydreams. Saying yes has the power to affect change, and sometimes that's all we need to kickstart a passion. This one yes allowed him to eventually front 2 live bands and perform in award-winning musicals. What lion is standing in your way? We give so much weight to past negative events, but we don't give the same weight to future possibilities. The art of doing challenges you to find your lion, that one deep-seated fear, and roar back in its face by saying yes to the very thing it's telling you to avoid. Of course, to take these leaps, you need a solid foundation of self-worth. This is our 4th key idea: you are more than enough, right now, as you are. Jesse argues that our most common excuses, if only I were smarter, thinner, richer, are just reasons marinated in emotion. The real work is accepting that you are enough right now, with all your flaws and imperfections. His most vulnerable story in the book comes from his time as a world-class high jumper. Despite being in the best shape of his life, with less than 10% body fat, the constant narrative from coaches, other athletes, and the press was that he was too big, too heavy to be an elite jumper. Newspaper headlines like "Linebacker Lipscombe too big to jump" did a number on his self-confidence. He began to hate his own reflection, even removing the mirrors from his house. He says, "All I could see was what other people told me to see. Their words shaped what I saw." It took him years of consistent practice to heal from this, doing exercises as simple as looking in the mirror every night and saying, "I love you so much and I am proud of you." This daily practice slowly replaced the negative self-talk and allowed him to see that he was already enough. This isn't just about blocking out external voices, it's about actively putting yourself first. He calls out mothers, specifically, as a group who have historically put themselves last, giving up their own identities for their families. He urges them, and all of us, to set boundaries, establish me time, and model for our children that we are whole people with our own hopes and dreams. He challenges men to reject the toxic masculine traits that limit emotional expression, and to give themselves permission to feel everything. So many of us are waiting for permission to feel good about ourselves. We're waiting to hit a target weight, a promotion, a relationship goal before we can finally accept ourselves. The Art of Doing argues that this is backward. Believing you are enough is not the prize you get at the finish line. It is the non-negotiable prerequisite for starting the race. So, you've embraced action over analysis, you're running toward love, you're saying yes, and you believe you are enough. Now for the final piece, the practical tools of productivity. This is where the book gives you the how. Our 5th and final key idea is a collection of strategies for turning passion and pursuit into tangible results. Jesse is clear the issue isn't a lack of time, it's a lack of emotional bandwidth. The busiest, most productive people on earth have the same 24 hours you do. The difference is how they manage their energy and focus. His first strategy is called Big Littles. This is about taking a huge, overwhelming goal like writing a book or starting a business and breaking it down into the smallest possible, bite-sized chunks. You then schedule those littles into your calendar and treat them as seriously as you would an appointment with your boss. You cannot miss an appointment with yourself. This process transforms a source of anxiety into a digestible, daily plan, freeing up your emotional bandwidth to actually enjoy your life. The second strategy is do what you suck at. We love to do what we excel at and we avoid our weaknesses. Jesse uses his hilarious and humbling journey with golf as an example. He thought he could go pro with his long drive, only to break 2 drivers in his first lesson by smashing them into the floor. But he learned his most valuable lesson from that session, focusing on his weakness. His 7-iron, with a professional coach, made his entire game more enjoyable. He applies this to life. A brain dominance assessment in college showed him he was off the charts in imagination and interpersonal skills, but a complete void in analytical and sequential skills like planning and organizing. He made a conscious decision to work on what he sucked at. This, he argues, is what makes you a whole, effective person, not just a one-trick pony. Finally, he introduces the idea of the universal GPS, a concept he learned from speaker Mike Dooley. The idea is simple: your goals are a destination you input into your mental GPS. But the GPS doesn't give you turn-by-turn directions until you start moving. You don't need to know the entire map from Vancouver to Seattle. You just need to trust the process and listen for the next turn. If you take a detour for chicken, the GPS simply reroutes you. It doesn't judge or panic. As long as you keep your destination in mind and keep moving, you will get there. So many of us get paralyzed because we can't see the full path. This book tells you to stop trying to see the path. Just get in the car and drive. Put your destination in the universal GPS and start moving. That is the art of doing. So, what makes The Art of Doing radically different from the thousands of other productivity and self-help books out there? It's the soul. This is not a sterile, mechanical system for optimizing your workflow. It is a vibrant, chaotic, and deeply human memoir wrapped around a powerful philosophy. The author, Jesse Lipscombe, isn't just telling you what to do, he's showing you the incredible, multifaceted life he built by doing it. His stories of failure are as important as his stories of success. His vulnerability about his fears, his body image, his mistakes is the book's greatest strength. It makes the advice feel earned, not just prescribed. While other books give you a blueprint, this one gives you a compass and a heart full of courage. So who is this book for? It is for the person with a dozen passions, who has been told their whole life to just pick one. It's for the artist staring at a blank canvas, the writer staring at a blinking cursor, the entrepreneur staring at a mountain of a business plan, frozen by the sheer scale of it all. It's for anyone who feels that nagging sense that their best self is trapped behind a wall of fear, procrastination, and self-doubt. It's for the person who wants to stop running from fear and start running toward love. And who is this book not for? It is not for the cynic looking for a life hack. It is not for the person who wants a quick fix without doing the deep, sometimes uncomfortable, internal work. This book will ask you to look at your ugliest fears, to forgive yourself for past mistakes, and to take responsibility for the life you are creating. If you're not ready to be radically honest with yourself, this book will be a challenge. The single most valuable takeaway from The Art of Doing is not a technique or a strategy. It is a feeling. It is the profound sense of liberation that comes from giving yourself permission. Permission to try. Permission to be messy. Permission to fail. Permission to change your mind. Permission to be a beginner. Permission to pursue a life that doesn't fit into a neat little box. A life that is as sprawling and fascinating and uniquely original as you are. You will walk away feeling not just motivated to do more, but freed to be more. At the beginning of our journey today, we talked about your life's potential as a single thread, either a tangled knot or a perfect spiral. After exploring Jesse Lipscombe's The Art of Doing, we can now see that the power to untangle that knot has been in your hands all along. This book is the guide. It teaches you how to find the end of the thread in the chaos, how to apply gentle, consistent pressure, and how to patiently work through the snags until momentum takes over and the beautiful, elegant spiral of your true potential reveals itself. This summary has been the map, but reading the book is the journey itself. To truly feel the energy, the honesty, and the transformative power of Jess's story, you have to let his words wash over you. You have to walk alongside him through his failures and his triumphs. If you are ready to stop dreaming and start doing, to untangle your own thread and weave a masterpiece, then your next step is clear. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Take action. The link to purchase The Art of Doing is in the description below. This isn't just buying a book. It's making an appointment with your future self, an investment in the remarkable life you were always meant to live. Get your copy and begin The Art of Doing today. And as always, if this journey resonated with you, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone else whose thread needs a little untangling.